From the City of Troy, I'm Deputy Director of Public Information, Frank Sinato. This is Troy Talk Today. I'm wearing my Freer Park t-shirt because today we're talking about our parks. Troy's Deputy Mayor CHris Nolin will tell us how ARPA funding is making significant park upgrades possible and how our parks investments are improving the quality of life in your neighborhood. Let's talk. So I'm joined now by Troy Deputy Mayor CHris Nolin. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Frank. Glad to be here.
So I know that for years, Troy struggled with legacy debt obligations. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the federal government passed really massive investments into local governments, one of which was the American Rescue Plan. You've been deputy mayor for about a year. How is ARPA affecting what you're able to accomplish for the city of Troy?
Yeah, ARPA is a tremendous one-shot opportunity. The piece that's most important for me with ARPA is that we not waste the funds. And what I mean by waste is we didn't want to sprinkle it around so the residents and visitors and businesses don't see an impact. So it's a total of $42.3 million. It's a one-shot funding opportunity for the city of Troy and our residents. So what we've done is try to focus that funding where it's going to make the biggest difference. So that's the $1 million for businesses. That's $1.5 million for residents for home ownership, home improvement. $2+ million for city parks, which I know we're going to talk about today. Because of the MAC debt, which was just recently paid off, there are a lot of unmet needs in the city of Troy. So what we're looking to do is to have a big impact with this funding, because we know it's not going to be around tomorrow. How can we make influence and impact our city into the future?
And as you'd mentioned, one of the ways we're doing that is through investments in our parks, which have long not been invested in. Why parks? Why now?
We've seen the importance of the parks and how not only during the pandemic were they a meeting place, but now we have activities, events which have blossomed through that. So we have Circus in the Park at Prospect Park. We have the disc golf group at Prospect Park. Last year we built 4 fitness pads. We're doing classes with MVP at those fitness pads. What I want is for our residents to be proud about the park that's around the corner. These are meeting places. These are places where you bring your children. When you think of a good park with a nice playground, that means people want to move into the neighborhood because they're thinking about having kids. They want a playground nearby that they can bring them to. They want a splash pad. So what we're doing is significant investments in a number of parks, but this is just the first phase. So in total, between last year and this year, we're looking at about $5 million that we're investing in the parks.
So tell me more about the upgrades that are coming through ARPA. What are the projects that a neighbor should look for?
Yeah, so I do think it's important. So I'll mention again, this is just the first phase. There's probably $15 million in unmet need, and that doesn't address some of the really big issues, like what do you do with the old pool in Prospect Park? That's just how do we bring things up to a spec where we can have some pride in our parks again. What you can expect to see is, Kinloch Park. We're addressing the drainage issues in Kinloch. And then as part of the next phase, we'll be looking at playground equipment for places where those kids can go to. Beeman Park, we're looking at, again, addressing the drainage issue, because if we don't address that first, nobody's going to want to go use the new playground equipment because they're going to be knee-deep in mud, right? So we're addressing some of the underlying drainage issues, and then we're also investing in new playground equipment. Canal Ave Park is getting a full rehab with new playground equipment. Plus, we're looking picnic tables, other areas, cookers so that you can go and grill outside. We're looking at those things where people can meet, they can have fun, they can bring their kids too. And that just touches on a few of them. Powers Park, we just finished the new pavilion as a meeting place for the concert series. These are things, we wanted to bring this up to a spec where people have pride in it, right? And they're also meeting the needs. We have new electrical in Powers Park Pavilion. Prospect Park, we're looking at new playground equipment. We're also looking at bringing together all the stakeholders to talk about the future of Prospect Park. 112th Street Park up in Lansingburg, on the north end of the city, is a full rehab That's over $1 million project. That's going to be a new splash pad, playground equipment. Based on input from the residents, we're looking at pickleball courts as well, and a smaller pavilion where people can meet and either host a family get-together, or maybe we can do a small concert series, if the community wants that. So some tremendous opportunities for us to, create these meeting places for our residents to get together.
I can hear how passionate you are about these parks. Why are these park improvements personally so important to you?
Well, because I see how the parks get used. We have our residents there day in and day out, and I see the incredible potential when the city steps forward with investing in our parks and doing it in a smart way. How we're going to get more residents into the parks, how we're going to get more neighbors talking to one another, and what's really also very important to me is how do we get more families to move into the city of Troy, right? How do we support the families that are here, and how do we get more families to come here? And to me, when I'm thinking of having kids, and I'm looking at where I want to move, I want a playground nearby that's safe and that I can be proud to bring my kids to.
And one of the great things about the city of Troy is that there's a park in every neighborhood.
When we were looking at phase 1 of the parks plan, we are doing upgrades, significant upgrades, in all different parts of the city. So 112th Street Park on the north side, on the east side, you have the Kinloch Park, Beeman Park, just up from the downtown, Canal Ave Park in South Central, South Troy.
No one's being overlooked.
That's exactly it. Yeah, we wanted to make sure that we were having an impact throughout the city.
What's the importance of having a splash pad available to you or a pool nearby?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for residents, especially those that don't have access to a pool or might even have limited air conditioning. It's a place for them to bring their kids. Again, it's on those hot summer days. It's a place where people can meet. It's a place where parents can rest. And the kids can have fun in a splash pad or in a pool. South Troy's pool is a fantastic option. We're working on the Nick pool and rebuilding that. We had a meeting with residents. We're going to be having more meetings with residents about what that design is going to look like. We're looking at the demolition of the old pool, which should be a significant step forward. And then on top of our 2 signature pools here in the city of Troy, you have splash pads dotted throughout our neighborhoods. And that's kind of the neighborhood convening point where if a parent needs a place to cool off with the kids, they can walk around the corner and go to that.
I think about the paying down of this legacy debt. I know that this year and last year, Troy received an A1 rating, bond rating from Moody's. Do you think that these improvements in our parks could have been done without the American Rescue Plan? We
could not have done a significant amount of work in the parks as we are doing because of ARPA. And the great thing about doing the parks investments is this is something that will last 20 plus years.
Deputy Mayor, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Frank.
And if you'd like to learn more about our parks, you can visit troyny.gov/parks. We've been speaking with Deputy Mayor CHris Nolin about the City of Troy's investments in local parks. Remember, you can learn more about our parks on the City of Troy's website. A link will also be provided in the description notes of today's episode. Thanks for tuning in to Troy Talk Today. Talk soon.